Every dream isn't meant to be discussed. Some things are meant to be protected. Listen, not everyone deserves access to what God has whispered to you in private. Some people won't get it, and others will even try to talk you out of it. And if you've shared too soon and got hit with doubt or even silence, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've discovered that your calling isn't a conference call. God didn't ask for votes from others. Why? Because He gave you the vision. And if you're carrying something that doesn't make sense to others, this episode is for you. Let's talk about how to guard what God has given us, how to protect it, and how to walk it out with confidence. Firstly, we need to realize that everything God shows us isn't meant to be shared right away. Listen, y'all, our dreams are sacred. They're not these secrets that we're trying to hide. You have to look at them like seeds. Seeds don't grow in the spotlight. They need the dark, they need soil, they need the quiet, they need time. And if you've ever had to learn this the hard way, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because how many times have we shared things too early, hoping that people will get excited about what we're excited about? And instead, we're met with these blank stares and awkward silence, or even well-meaning advice that only made you second-guess yourself. We have to learn that just because we're excited doesn't mean it's time to invite people in. And we can look at the story of Joseph in the Bible. A young kid, a teenager, he had this powerful dream from God. The first thing he did was tell his brothers. And they didn't like it. They didn't want to hear it. And their response, they threw him in a pit. I mean, that's pretty bad. You have to realize that's not just a Bible story. That's real life. And that's God showing us that sometimes we just need to zip it up and be quiet and not share our dreams with everybody. See, when you share what's sacred and personal with people who don't understand the weight of it, they just might mishandle it as Joseph's brothers did. Now, I'm taking some questions that are sent in, and this one question just follows this exact point, and this is what was asked. How do I know when to share something that God showed me and when to keep it quiet? What a great question. My encouragement to you on that is simply ask yourself, will sharing this information help the dream, or will it expose it to unnecessary weight and drama and even unwanted opinions of others? I like to see wisdom as the answer all the way around. Why do I say that? Because first of all, we just did a whole series on wisdom. And I found that when I ask God for wisdom, wisdom is that thing that protects what's still being formed on the inside of me. And I've discovered if there's no peace, I'm going to hold that information in. Because when it's time, God is going to give us the right place, the right people, and the right words when it's time to share what He's placed on the inside of us. Secondly, we have to realize that some people are just not going to get it. And guess what? That's okay. We got to stop looking for validation from people who were never called to carry our vision. Do you know even Jesus was doubted by people and by leaders and by his own family? David was overlooked by his own father. Nehemiah faced nonstop opposition from the sidelines. And you might just be walking around with something on the inside of you that God told you in the quiet, and it feels like nobody gets it. Nobody's for me. Nobody's with me. Nobody's high-fiving me today. Let me tell you that you don't need anybody else's understanding. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation to keep going. If God spoke it to you, you don't need confirmation from your group chat or your family or even the person that you look up to. Because your confidence doesn't come from other people's opinions, it comes from God's voice. And listen, people have every right to their opinion, and you have every right not to listen to it. Let's look at another question that was sent in. And this one says, what do I do when the people around me don't support the vision I feel called to? Great question, and here's my encouragement to you. Don't let their lack of understanding become your limitation. You just got to decide, I'm going to stay in my own lane. I'm going to stay obedient. I'm going to stay focused. Eventually, those people are going to notice by my fruit. They're going to notice by the progress that's going to happen in my life. And let me just say this. Some people don't support you because they don't want you to succeed. But others don't support you, not because they're bad people, but simply because they don't understand the situation. And listen, that's okay. They're not supposed to. God spoke it to you, so you keep walking it out. Just stay laser focused on the road that's ahead of you. Thirdly, guarding your dream isn't hiding it, it's protecting it. You don't have to be loud about your dream. Sometimes the boldest thing you can do is to build quietly. If you're silent because you're scared of what people will think, now that's fear. That's a different story. But if you're silent because you're protecting something sacred and personal, I call that wisdom. You got to realize this. You're called to steward the vision that God has placed in your heart. You're going to stand before Him one day to answer for the calling that He placed on your life, not for someone else. And so steward that vision well. Steward it with faith and maturity. And just realize, have that mantra, not everyone gets early access to the behind the scenes of my life. Here's another question, and it's another great question. What's the difference between wisdom and fear when keeping things private? I love this. I would say this. Wisdom says, protect what's sacred. Fear says, hide what's not enough. See, one is rooted in confidence, and the other is rooted in insecurity. And a great way to find out, which way you're leaning is this. Ask yourself, am I pulling back to honor the process, or am I pulling back to avoid rejection? The bottom line, you got to protect what's important to you. Fourthly, you don't need permission to walk in what God has spoken to you. Listen, you're not waiting on people to co-sign what God has already confirmed. And sometimes we want to stall because we want someone else to tell us, yes, you're good enough. You can do it. You got this. You're going to do great. Let me just tell you this. God knows what's on the inside of you. He knows what you're equipped to do. He gives you grace for your calling. Thank God for that. And it doesn't mean you have all the answers. It simply means that you're going to trust in what God is telling you. And I just know this, that you don't have to be loud about your dreams. You don't have to post them on all the social medias. I know this, confidence isn't loud, it's not cocky, it's quiet obedience. It's showing up when nobody's watching. It's being faithful when nobody's cheering you on. It's trusting God's voice more than those feelings that are screaming on the inside of you. Here's one last question. How do I stay confident in my calling when I feel misunderstood? Great question. Listen, folks, confidence isn't about being understood. It's about being rooted and grounded and in a personal relationship with God. It's realizing that if God called you, He's going to equip you for the task. And what you can't do is shrink back. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep building. Sure, it might be slow, but you got to keep going. You got to trust the process. And by all means, you got to remember that God approved of you before anyone had the chance to disapprove of you. So walk in what He's called you to do. This is what I want you to remember today. You don't owe the world your blueprint, but you do owe God your obedience. And listen, it's not about rules, it's about relationship. And when you have a relationship with Jesus, you learn He's the best voice you could ever listen to. He's the greatest cheerleader. He gives you the greatest feedback and encouragement. So protect what He gave you, nurture the vision, zip it up when you need to zip it up, and don't let other people's doubts make you question what God has clearly placed in your heart. Now, I'm going to give you a challenge for the week. I want you to write down what God's been speaking to you. Now, don't be afraid to write it down. You might say, well, I think this is God. I'm not sure this is God. Just go ahead and write it down. Once you've written it down, don't post it. Don't explain it. Just begin to pray over it and let Him grow it in the dark before it ever sees the light. The right time's going to come. And when it does, you're going to be so ready. Remember this, it's your story to tell or not to tell. Again, privacy is power. I want to pray over you. God, thank you for the dreams that you placed on the inside of us. those ones that are still unfolding and still growing and still stretching our faith. Help us to guard what's sacred and to walk in wisdom and to trust your timing. Give us the courage to keep moving forward even when we feel misunderstood. Help us to learn your voice and to hear it louder than the noise around us. When it's time for us to speak, give us the words, give us wisdom. Father, I thank you that we don't have to chase validation. We're choosing obedience in you. We're not shrinking back, we're standing firm, and we trust that every step are all part of the plan. We thank you for being you and being our guide. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, if you haven't connected with me by email, I send out an encouraging email every week. Check out the description box below. I would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to pick up the course, Become the CEO of Your Life. It's all free down below. And if this episode has encouraged you, share it with someone who needs that reminder too. And until next time, have the most amazing day and make sure that you remember privacy is power.